So, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, this is going to be a relatively weird video compared to the rest of the ones that I do. The rest of the ones that I do tend to be a case of I'm going to throw a bit of information about you, about a footballer or a football team or a football match or something along those lines. But this is going to be a little bit different. And this is going to be more talking about like YouTube itself, because there's been a sort of ongoing thing behind the scenes that various YouTubers that my audience and a lot of other audiences will have realized that is affecting creators quite a bit, and it's making people question what's going on, and I thought I'd do a little bit of an explainer video to talk about all of it. So, if you're not interested in that, that's fine. You can click off right now. That's all good. But if you want to know the sort of behind the scenes of doing YouTubey things, then this is going to be a pretty damn good video to sort of learn from and find out more about. And also, whilst you're here, like and subscribe. Yay. Thank you. Anyway, I'm going to start by talking about the sort of underlying factor here, and the fact that all the creators that I've talked to have YouTube as their main platform, which means that we are all beholden to YouTube's priorities. Now, YouTube, as we all know, is a company. It's not some weird benevolent platform beast thing that exists with its sole function being to provide a platform on which people can say whatever they fancy about stuff. No, it's a business, which means that its main priority, a hell of a lot of the time, is going to be monetization. It's going to be advertising, which means, well, not only advertising, but like channel memberships, they take a chunk of that. They take a chunk of super chats and tips and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, YouTube makes its money by doing advertising on a wide range of videos. And that is, of course, YouTube's main priority. And when we talk about the big issue that YouTubers are having at the moment, it seems to be around the fact that views across the entire platform feel like they have collapsed. Now, you might think that this is going to be a thing from time to time. Yeah, certain channels might not get as many views at points, or certain like niches might not get as many views. So, for example, right now, you would expect over at least like a week ago and a week before that, you'd expect a little bit of a lull in the football space. And that's what we ended up with, because it was the international break and very few people are watching stuff about club football when internationals are on. Let's be honest, no one's watching the international games either. But that's beside the point. In addition to that, it was the end of the transfer window. But this looks like a YouTube-wide phenomenon of people noticing that their views are just down, under the floor, and it is causing a few issues, including people not having as high revenue. So if you're full-time doing this, I genuinely feel for you right now, because it's not a good spot to be in, because YouTube has just done a big change without telling anybody. And I'll get into that change in a moment, but it's also affecting absolutely everyone that runs a channel, because it's got big mental health things, but I'll get into that in a second. But we need to talk about the cause of this big drop, because you'd think YouTube, when it's looking at making money through advertising, it's good to have high viewerships, right? So viewer numbers falling makes no sense. The issue seems to be users with ad block. So what seems to have happened for a hell of a lot of channels that I've seen, I've watched various video essays on this, and I've read a couple of reports on it, and I've had a look at my own analytics. And the big trend that everyone seems to have followed is that at the same day, around the like 9th to 12th of August, desktop views for YouTube content across all YouTube content collapsed. They fell significantly below where you would expect them to be, and that is because the current belief is that users that are using adblock no longer count towards YouTube views. Which, fine, okay. At the end of the day, that doesn't affect a user's revenue. That doesn't really change anything, so you're not going to be earning any less. Except there's a knock-on effect that I've noticed as well. So the knock-on effect is that not only is it not showing views from people that are using adblock, which is sure cool, it means the user doesn't get to see any ads or anything. I'd prefer people use YouTube Premium because it's relatively cheap, and a number of people use YouTube a hell of a lot to watch things, which means that you're making plenty of value back on it, and the creator still earns a little bit of money. But it still counts the number of times a video is shown to someone that is using adblock. It still counts the number of impressions, which means that, for example, if 1,000 people are shown a video and 600 of those people click on it, you'd normally have a click-through rate of about 60%. However, half that, because if about half of people are using adblock, 300 people are counted but that 1,000 number stays the same. It doesn't take off the fact that they were using adblock. It's still 300 people from 1,000. So it looks like your click-through rate has fallen by half to 30%. Now, the numbers aren't that drastic in reality, but a lot of the time, YouTube will recommend content to people based on click-through rate, based on, are people interested in watching this content? And the lower your click-through rate, the less it's going to get recommended, because YouTube are like, we want to keep people on the platform, we want to keep people watching things, and that is their right, that's completely fine. But with click-through rates having been absolutely demolished and collapsed, it means that channels that are a little bit more reliant on longer form content, such as in this sphere, footballing content and live streams and podcasting and that kind of thing, collapses because it's not getting recommended, because people are watching it with an ad block on, which means that the numbers are drastically lower. And in addition to that, there seems to be a second little adjustment that was noted by YouTubers Atrioc and Ludwig and a guy called Stans and his sort of analyst guy Kanths, who discovered that a lot of the longer form content is also having severe drops in views because it's not counting views from people that it deems to be idle. So if you are watching YouTube in the background and you fall asleep and a YouTube channel is on and it goes through all those videos auto-playing, but those autoplay videos would also show adverts, and those adverts have no value to YouTube because advertisers realize, well, no one's actually watching those. Those videos are now getting recommended even less because YouTube is thinking, right, okay, there's only really value in the shorter stuff because long stuff is the sleeper stuff that isn't engaging that is causing us a problem. So creators have been hit by this weird double whammy of ad block means that the click-through rates look absolutely atrocious because the view numbers have collapsed, whilst at the same time you're getting less impressions because that longer content isn't getting recommended quite as much. Because whilst it was getting recommended a hell of a lot because it kept people on the platform for longer, that doesn't mean that they can show quite as many adverts, which is a big double whammy. And the big issue is that YouTube hasn't informed anyone about these changes either. This is big sort of like creator communities having to work things out and establish what is actually going on and why everything seems to have shifted with absolutely no warning. Like, I've had conversations, and I'm going to skip to the what this means bit at the moment, because what this means is view numbers absolutely collapse, which means that you like creator ad revenues collapse because you've not got the views in place anymore. And I've had at least like 4 different creators in the sphere that I work in alone reach out and go, have you noticed anything going on with view numbers? Like, what's happening here? I don't quite understand it. So what it means is that effectively a lot of people's livelihoods are in a bit of trouble at the moment. And I have a job that is decently paying and make sure that I'm able to continue to live without doing YouTube stuff. That is completely fine. But for the people that don't, that's a problem. That's a pretty big problem. And in addition to just the revenue side, I've got a little personal bit around it. Throughout the summer, I've sort of struggled with the idea of like liking the stuff that I put out. The stuff that I put out that is like higher effort things, like when I did quizzes and stuff, they wouldn't get viewed as much because people just wanted to see a little bit of news. When I did the charity match, didn't do quite as well as I hoped in terms of viewership. When it comes to just on creative bits, like there's been a couple of sort of fun and weird videos that I've wanted to make that I've just pulled away from because I've thought to myself, well, is anyone actually going to view that? And it batters your self-confidence so hard that right now I'm thinking all of those nice, cool, big video ideas that I've got in the pipeline, I don't think I'll bother with, to be honest, because I just think it's going to slump. And I think that's going to lead to even more issues and hurts the self-confidence even more. And I will be completely honest, I have a feeling that this video is going to massively underperform as well. And when you have a feeling before you make a video that it's going to underperform, you don't want to make that video. And I felt the same about a bunch of podcasts and streams and news videos and everything. And it stings, man. Like, you want to make this stuff, but you feel like you can't because it feels like it's not as valid because it doesn't do quite as well, which is a little bit of a shame. I'm going to sort of wrap this one up with a little bit of a what you can do kind of thing. And it's just sort of support the creators that you watch. So if you are able to, try to do so via like a channel membership or something. And I'm not even saying for me, I'm saying for the people that do this full time, they will need help, I think. I don't know. I'm not 100% certain because I can't see their behind the scenes numbers. I don't know what their like revenues and stuff are. But the viewership thing is hitting a hell of a lot of people. So if you have a creator that you quite like and you're like teetering on the edge of, do I want to support this person financially? Go for it because it really helps. You can also make sure that if you're subscribed to someone, do the notification bell thing, because then you're not relying on YouTube to push something to you. I mean, my own brother got told like by YouTube that I'd done a stream 3 days after I finished the stream when the news was no longer relevant. That's the point that it's reaching with the recommendations being absolutely knacked. So just do what you can to make sure that you're on top of your favorite creators, you're seeing the stuff that they put out, and you're supporting them in any which way you can. Even if it comes to it, just a nice comment from time to time, you know? Anyway, I'm going to leave that roughly there. I know that was a little bit of a weird one, and sorry about that if you're used to sort of my standard sort of content-y stuff, but I feel like it was something that needed to be a little bit more explored and to explain some of the issues that various content creators are having to people that watch stuff, because it's sort of a loop that you're typically outside of. But yeah, always good to have an update, isn't it? Anyway, hope you enjoyed. If you did, pop a like on it, comment on this video with what you're kind of thinking. Subscribe if you aren't yet with the notification bell, because I'm going to have to start saying that now, and I hate that. And become a channel member if you can afford to do so and fancy it, because that genuinely massively help. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all later. Toodaloo.